All right, today we're jumping into a piece of ancient text that honestly feels like a blueprint for modern life. We're talking about the second chapter of Proverbs. We're going to break down its step-by-step guide to unlocking what it calls divine wisdom. So let me just ask you, what if you had a clear, easy-to-follow blueprint for navigating all the crazy complexities of life? A guide that actually promised you protection, success, and a real sense of direction? Well, that is exactly what this chapter claims to be. And the whole idea is wrapped up in this really powerful metaphor. Wisdom isn't something you just trip over one day. Nope, it's a treasure. And just like any treasure worth finding, you've got to actively, intentionally go looking for it. So here's our game plan for walking through this blueprint. We'll start with its basic structure, then we'll get into the search for treasure. That's the part you have to do. After that, we'll look at the divine reward it promises, see how that wisdom becomes a protective shield, and finally, we'll land on the two final paths this whole journey leads to. So first off, what makes Proverbs 2 a blueprint? Well, it's because it's set up as this incredibly clear cause and effect deal. Just think of it like a giant if-then statement. If you do these specific things, then these specific results are going to follow. It's just super logical and straight to the point. So let's start with the first half of that equation, the if condition. This is all about the actions, the personal effort that you have to put in to find this treasure of wisdom. And this is key. The text puts a huge emphasis on your role in this. This is not a passive thing where wisdom just gets downloaded into your brain. The whole journey kicks off with your deliberate choice to actually get involved and take action. So what are these actions? The blueprint gives us 4 really clear steps. First, you have to accept the words, which means being open, being receptive. Second, you got to turn your ear to wisdom. You have to actively listen and really pay attention. Third, apply your heart to understanding. This means you're engaging more than just your brain. You're engaging your whole being. And finally, like we said, you have to search for it like treasure with real passion, with diligence, and with the belief that it is incredibly valuable. Okay, so that's the if. That's the work you put in. So what's the then? What's the reward you get at the end of this treasure hunt? Well, the first reward it mentions is understanding the fear of the Lord and finding the knowledge of God. Now, that word fear can sound a little intense, right? But it doesn't mean being terrified. It's understood as this deep, reverent awe, a profound respect for God's character and power. And this reverence, it says, is the very foundation of real knowledge. And this is the crucial part. The reward isn't just about getting a higher IQ or being able to win a trivia night. It's about a deeper connection, an understanding that the text says is ultimately a gift from God. Your effort, your searching, it opens the door for this divine gift of wisdom and knowledge to be given to you. Okay, so you've done the work, you've found this treasure, you have this divine understanding. What does that actually mean for your day-to-day life? This is where the blueprint gets super practical, showing us how wisdom acts like a personal protective shield. Let's just ask the question straight up. What does this wisdom actually do for you? How does it change things in the real world, with real people and real problems? Well, the text leads out a whole list of protections. It talks about success, but specifically for the upright, people living with integrity. It says wisdom will act like a guard, protecting you from malicious people and saving you from twisted words. We're talking deception, manipulation. It helps you steer clear of tempting traps, and maybe most importantly, it helps you find the right path and actually stay on it. And this right here perfectly shows one of wisdom's superpowers, discernment. It helps you tell the difference between two kinds of communication. On one side, you've got the words of the upright, which lead to clarity and good judgment. On the other, you have the twisted words of the wicked, which lead to confusion, crooked paths, and ultimately destruction. Wisdom is the tool that lets you see which is which. So all of this brings us to the final part of the blueprint. After the searching, the rewards, and all the protections, it really all comes down to one ultimate choice, a choice between two very, very different destinations. You see, the end of the chapter isn't just a nice little summary. It's all about consequences. It shows that following the path of wisdom, or choosing to reject it, doesn't just change your journey, it literally determines your final destination. And the contrast here could not be more clear. On one hand, you have the path of the good, the one followed by the upright and blameless. It leads to stability, to permanence. It says they will live in the land. But the path of the wicked, it leads to the exact opposite.
They will be cut off and uprooted, an image of total instability, of being completely removed.
So, what we find in Proverbs 2 is this complete roadmap. It starts with a personal choice to hunt for wisdom like it's hidden treasure. It details the incredible rewards and practical protections that come from that search. And it all ends with a clear choice between two final outcomes. The blueprint is all laid out. The only question left is the one it asks every single person who reads it. Which path will you walk?